This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Water bottle Jeffrey, thank you.
That was my
Welcome
fault.
to DBL.
Why does everyone assume that it's my water bottle?
It was my water bottle.
Erica as well.
Yes.
Jeff did what just guys do when we don't know what to do. Jeff just waved.
I didn't know what they were talking about.
It's like, hey.
Did everyone assume that was mine because it goes with my tablecloth shirt?
Your picnic shirt.
So just
We
put
like it.
just put the cup right there. It's because I can't wear white anymore, so this is my protest.
Oh, I like it. It's very
Yeah,
good.
protesting.
I believe protesting. I believe in it, and good for you.
I have a son.
I am also, you can get out the jokes. Joel already called me conga line, bananas, whatever. Ha 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 ha. Let's keep it moving. Am I right?
That's right.
Okay, great. Here we go.
We love it.
Al's going to do so much more.
No.
All right. After all the hype for Barbie and Oppenheimer, it turns out that the two movies beat expectations and broke a bunch of box office records. So Barbie won the box office, taking home in America $155 million. Meantime, Oppenheimer took in more than $80 million. If you went to the movies this weekend, chances are, and I'm sure you did, you saw a lot of Barbie fans dressed up in pink posing in the Barbie box. In fact, our very own senior producer, Karen, also took
Yeah, that's a good point, Karen.
You look fabulous. Not that you don't every day. So why do you think these two movies blew up like you did? Great job, Karen. I also want to let you guys know globally, Barbie got 337 million globally, and Oppenheimer 174 million globally. It is the fourth highest weekend box office of all time.
Wow.
Of all time.
I mean,
Why these two? Why? Is it the interactive nature? Was it the marketing? The stars? Talk to me. Someone say something.
I'll throw out that I didn't think it was going to open last week. I threw out maybe an assumption that it wouldn't. I apologize. It crushed, and Oppenheimer too. Barbie, they both crushed it. My assumption was based on this was being overhyped, and that maybe the numbers wouldn't equate to the hype. Turns out I was wrong. It did. And the previous weekend, which I thought would open with Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones, and there was a ton of movies at the movie theater that I wanted to see, that didn't really open well. If you would have told me a couple of months ago which weekend would open better, I definitely would have said Mission Impossible. So maybe this is just, listen, I'm happy for the movie business. People are getting back to the entertainment business. People want to go to the theaters. Now we got to figure out what's going on in Hollywood with the SAG strike, and so people can get back to the movies full time.
You're absolutely right. Did anyone see any of either, just to interrupt quickly? I saw Oppenheimer because I'm a nerd.
no, that's what the kids saw. They
Got it. Okay, I just want to see who saw what. Okay,
But,
go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, Jeff, the only reason that I disagreed with you at the time about Barbie being a flop, I wasn't sure about Oppenheimer, but Barbie people got dressed up to do it, as we saw Karen in her own box. And once everybody's getting dressed up, it goes from being a movie to an event.
Yes.
And when it's an event, people are going to go.
Yeah.
Like Black Panther, right?
Like Black Panther, great call. Anything. I mean, I brought up Halloween. Adults, we don't want to dress like this all the time. You look great, but people want to dress. That's why Halloween is so popular with adults. So any excuse to dress up, and it's not October 31st, people are going to use it. But I'm surprised, happily surprised, that Oppenheimer did as well as it did. I didn't see that coming.
Well, see, Barbie was going to be a box office hit regardless. You just can't have that type of nostalgia and that type of connection without people wanting to at least be curious to see it. Also, although I didn't see it, but a lot of people did say it's an adult film.
Right.
Although most of the humor and some of the references are just over the heads of kids, not necessarily like explicit from my understanding.
Like the Muppets would do.
Right.
Right.
But the intention is there. But the intention for a lot of cartoons are also for adults and not kids. That being said, this was a weekend that the entire family could go to one space at the movie theater. They could even break up into two different theaters, and everyone would be happy.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the first times in a long time that I'm like, hey, I think I really do want to go to the movie theater and see Barbie, but as a result, I'm going to have to give my husband Oppenheimer, which I'm totally willing to do because I'm very curious about both, and I think that's where it is right now. That's why it did so well.
Yeah,
I do like that Erica's point is finally a place where you can go together. Go in that room. Immediately.
You separate immediately.
You mean drive together?
But I'm saying, like, I'm thinking of like the family I grew up in. Like, there were 4 kids. I have a older brother who's 5 years older. Then there was myself. My younger brother's 3 years younger, and my sister's 7 years younger. So it's like we all could do some of the same things, but would we all be equally excited? So there were times when we'd go to one place, and then we'd kind of like,
meet after the bathroom.
There's
right.
6 people, that's a lot of us. Okay?
That's right. That's true. I will say I went to see Oppenheimer. If you guys didn't know, true story of Dr. Oppenheimer. He created the atomic bomb with the Manhattan Project in Los Alamos, New Mexico, directed by Christopher Nolan. And everyone was talking about how great he did The Dark Knight, Batman, that this was like one of his masterpieces. Cillian Murphy's in it. He ate an almond a day to lose all that weight to look like Dr. Oppenheimer. And when I saw the movie, it not only is about the science, you see Albert Einstein, you see Truman, it's really historically relevant and it's very interesting, but Oppenheimer studied Hinduism, and he had a very hard time creating the atom bomb that created then blood on his hands. And he famously said,
I've become death.
Now I'm become death, the destroyer of worlds. And that's actually a Vishnu saying from the Bhagavad Gita. And it's about Cillian's mind going like this with what did I do and how many did I save after that, right? Because we ended the war after that. And it's fascinating mentally to see Cillian Murphy go that deep. So I highly recommend Oppenheimer. Even if you think you weren't interested in the history, it's really, really, really good. Also, I just wanted to get to Kennergy really quick. Is that right? Kennergy, I wanted to know if any of you guys feel you have it. A psychology.
This is in relation to Barbie.
Correct.
Not Oppenheimer.
No, very different.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. So a psychologist has described Kennergy as 2 things. It's not unmasculine for a man to let a woman take center stage like Ken, and it's not unmasculine for a man to embrace his feminine side. So fans have described Kennergy as a synonym to himbo, which is like a bimbo but a himbo. Either anybody here, do you feel you have a little Kennergy?
No, I don't like these new made-up words. Yeah.
Picnic guy is out.
Yeah,
You're not digging it?
I don't know. Like, there's a saying for everything. You have Kennergy? No, dork. Get out of here.
You've had enough. You've had
I got no Kennergy.
I was going to say, I think that it's like a term for something that's already been around. Like when I think about a guy that lets his woman take the stage, I think that's a guy that fell in love with his woman because she did take the stage. And that, like, I feel like when you go places with Anthony, he likes to just watch you work the room. Anthony don't want to be on camera. Should I not be saying his name? So.
No. No, definitely don't say my husband. No,
Like,
Anthony.
I think there's some men that are in awe of the partner that they're with.
people don't understand that Anthony has his own. Anthony walks his own red carpets in his life. So it's not like just because my stuff is so visual, people think that it's like I'm the sunshine. When I'm with Anthony's people, Anthony is the star. Like, so we don't have that.
And
that
make sure
thing.
you say that in the car before you go into the.
Yeah, I'm like, babe, you're the
Say
star.
it.
No, it's the same thing. It's like he's the television personality, like, so I don't think of it. It's just different like that. But I do think that when you are in a situation where there's, you're someone who likes to be in the background while your partner shines, then there are other strengths that you can bring to the equation that aren't necessarily like seen or valued the same way depending on, what room you're in, clearly, because I'm the person who sits back and lets Anthony take the stage in his life.
I like that face. All right, I love it. Coming up on DBL, our interview with one of the most popular hand models in the world. How does she get the gig? She tells us all about it. And extreme heat, we're talking about it. It takes over the country with a dad. Look at this, smashing a car window to save his baby. We're talking about it next. Stay tuned.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point.
But I'm gonna have a conversation about what's happening now.
Apparently, windows are harder to smash than windshields if you have a
We
windshield.
haven't gotten to that story yet.
Oh yeah, right. We're talking about the upcoming topic, but it's really scary to see.
It's your worst.
It is your
fear
worst
as a
nightmare.
parent.
It's like when you by accidentally leave a kid, or you lock your kid or a dog in the car, and you're like, oh my God, I have to get in.
I was gonna say, what's weird is this
Thank you.
weekend, I was, he's okay, so it's fine, but I had a friend of mine whose son was in a car accident, and I was at that same intersection. It was at the top of the street where I've always said to myself, like, it just seems really, it's on a hill, and you're coming up on that intersection on a hill, so it's a double blind, and he heard the accident in his house, so he was just going to be a good Samaritan, and then slowly realized his son was in the car.
Oh, yeah,
And it's one of those things that, like, when my ex-wife told me the story, like, I needed a second.
Yeah.
Because I knew this kid before his parents were married.
Can you imagine?
And so, it was my son, and I was putting together, his process.
Yeah.
And so there are these things where, even though, the next story, baby's okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, we wouldn't be doing the story if it wasn't. But the parent, I think it's very hard for parents to let go of the guilt and the worst case scenarios that could have played out. It's almost like it happened. Anyway.
On Oprah once, the grandmother, I know this is like Bummer Town, but she by accidentally backed out and didn't look behind her, and there was a
Good
I know.
Lord,
And she
have
said
mercy.
the only I thought it was a bee. The only way, change of emotion, she would wail because of the guilt, and the family was like, it's not your fault, we don't hold you accountable, and she said it was like an animalistic wailing that she would do. It was awful.
I think you need to sing Mambo number 5.
You know what I like?
The falafel? Welcome back to DBL. So the blistering heat set over 50 new high temperatures this weekend, with more dangerously high temps forecasted this week. Check it out. It turns out okay, but in Texas, this is a father and some good Samaritans. They rescued this baby that was accidentally locked in a car by smashing the front windshield. Thankfully, a woman climbed in and was able to get the child to safety. Thank the Lord. Meantime, last night in Los Angeles, an ESPN reporter, I hate saying this, fainted.
No.
I don't like seeing that. I'm so sorry. Fainted live on the air. Now, it's not, I want you all to know, it's not entirely certain why the heat or humidity or why could have made up for this conditions where this can happen. We're going to see it again if you don't want to see it. It's uncomfortable.
No.
I know, it's uncomfortable. Thankfully, though, everybody, he's going to be absolutely okay. It's not fun seeing someone do that. It's very scary. So how are you dealing? I wanted to let you guys know July is expected to break the record for the hottest month ever, and it beats the previous record, which was June.
Can I go back to that first video?
This June.
We'll go back to the heat, but
Please.
I want to go back to the first video. When that lady went inside to get the baby, why didn't she open the door and hand the baby out instead of pushing it through the glass?
I don't know.
I think she was panicked and wanted to get her out to air.
You see what I'm saying? You're inside. Open the door.
I think she wanted to get the baby to the air as fast as possible, and that was her instinct, just to get to the open air.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems weird. Anyways, it's hot. Go.
Yeah, that's terrifying, though. As a parent, I mean, it's one of those things. I think before you have kids, you look at something like that, like, how could somebody? It's your baby. How could you leave your baby? But
it happens.
Once you have a kid,
yeah,
you totally never parent shame, because you're like, I could see that.
Oh, for sure.
I could see that. You're busy. You know what it is? It's anything that interrupts your routine. Like if George normally drops, or something, and George's like, he picked the dry cleaning up first. Anything that throws your day off a little bit can lead to something where your brain just isn't there for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden we're running your clip on DBL.
Totally
Yeah, there's no shame here at all.
No. I was curious. I'd be like, if that was me, I'd be, get him out. Go through the door.
Yeah,
I would stick his head through the glass.
I know, it's very.
I don't know.
I can totally identify with that.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you think this heat, which is killing people, right? We have at least 13 dead in Texas, at least 18 dead in Phoenix, third-degree burns when you touch the sidewalk in Phoenix. Will this kill summer vacations? Will this kill the season because it becomes too hot to actually go outside?
No. People are going to outside. They're going to.
Even if it's 100%.
As a verb, outside.
Not in Phoenix.
Not in Phoenix. They can't. It's been 2 days over.
I do understand what you're saying. I think, I was just talking about this weekend. I was really surprised by how many people were just out. And like, granted, it's only 100 degrees here. It's not 120, which is a difference.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised. I was also very surprised by how ill-prepared people seem to be, like in terms of having their pets out at farmers markets, who couldn't find any shade on like really dark, you know, like on the road. Like kids, like people seem so ill-prepared, like no water. So I think that's the thing. Like, are we just unaware of how to prepare for the heat, or do we not think that the heat is as volatile as it is?
Does anyone think this is a crazy idea that Biden or whomever, Republican, Democrat, I don't care, elect a climate czar or a cabinet member to be in charge of climate to teach people, because the climate is, whether you believe it or not, changing? Should that not be something we look to our government to help us figure out? We go to FEMA for when there is a storm or a heat. Is that not an idea?
I think we tried the climate thing and that was beaten back. I don't hear those people as much anymore as they were evacuating the Greek islands this weekend. I don't hear as many climate deniers. Wonder where they are, maybe in the shade.
Yeah, we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. We'll be right back.
This morning, as questions swirl around Carly Russell's disappearance, her boyfriend speaking out, defending her. Russell claims she was kidnapped but escaped to return home 49 hours later. Tamar Latrell Simmons telling the New York Post, "I want everyone to stop bullying her. I know what it seems like, what she did. Just stop bullying on social media." Adding, "Think about her mental health. Nobody deserves to be cyberbullied." Simmons had recently removed all traces of Russell from his social media pages, including a since-deleted Facebook post that said she was literally fighting for her life. Russell told authorities she saw a child walking alone on the side of the interstate on her way home on the evening of July 13th. The 25-year-old nursing student saying a man and woman forced her into multiple vehicles blindfolded, but eventually she was able to escape through some woods. But Hoover City authorities saying investigators could not corroborate any of her dramatic story of survival. According to police, Russell allegedly made strange online searches, looking up the maximum age for an Amber Alert, a one-way bus ticket, and the movie Take It.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. Although Ashley Covington is a top model, you've likely never seen her face. That's because she's been a professional hand model for more than 20 years. And earlier she shared the secret to striking a pose with just her hands. Take a look.
Hi, Ashley. So, Ashley, you've been hand modeling for some time now. How exactly did you get discovered? And I'm just going to throw this in here because I was once asked to be a foot model. Ooh. And I just want to be very clear about how you got discovered, because I'm like a size 10.5 and my feet should not be shown anywhere. So I want you to give people warnings of what is a legit discovery versus what is something else.
I hear that. There are a lot of interesting people out there in the world who are looking for things. But believe me, the last thing I ever thought I would be doing for the majority of my adult life is hand modeling. I was a child actor who became a theater major in college, and I was just trying to get headshots taken when an acting agent discovered my hands. She said, "You've got to go get a manicure." And I said, "Oh, no, thanks. I'm a nail biter. I've never had a manicure." And she said, "All that changes today." And I said, "I'm here about headshots." And she said, "Oh, no, forget your head. It is all about your hands."
Forget your head.
I didn't even know it existed before I started.
Wow.
So talk us through what a typical hand model shoot is like, because I'm curious as well. And did you ever see the Seinfeld episode where George becomes a hand model?
Absolutely. I love that episode. That is Zoolander. Those are like two of the best examples of hand.
All right, good. You got the reference.
Model mama.
You got the reference.
Right? Now, so here's the thing. There's really no typical day on set. I have held diapers and I've been adorned in diamonds and everything in between. I pick up burgers, I set down drinks. That is a $20 million diamond.
Wow.
And my hands are on celebrities' faces, picking up pizza, picking up burgers, setting down things. So I guess really the only typical thing about hand modeling is there is no typical.
Wow.
So that's your fingers on someone else's face?
Yes, I am behind them, crouched down, with my hand coming up, resting on their face, and I'm trying to get the rest of me out of the frame. Yep.
Interesting.
Wow. That is so interesting. Now, you've modeled as celebrities' hands before. Can you tell us more about the recent ad you did with Alicia Silverstone? Tell us about that.
Well, yes, the Rakuten ad that I did with Alicia Silverstone. So that one was really kind of special to me because it was so cool. It was a throwback to Clueless.
Oh, yeah, I remember this ad.
Yes, and that is one of like my favorite ads. So we got to go to Cher's house, to the school, there's my hand, to all the places that she was in the actual movie. And the really cool thing was the cinematographer was Bill Pope, who was the actual cinematographer for Clueless.
Oh, wow.
What they would do, what you just saw, is she would come in, do her take, and then she would go start getting ready for the next setup. And they would bring me in, put her shirt on my arm, so the sleeve in, the camera would be right here, my head would be bent out all over frame, and I would be from her perspective of raising the hand up with the phone and punching in on the button. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are looking at this saying, how do I get into this? So do you have any tips or tricks for somebody trying to break into the hand modeling industry?
Well, first of all, they're going to just naturally have to have nice looking hands. That's just, you know, one of the requirements, right? But now, what most people don't realize, because they're like, oh, well, I've got pretty hands, I can be a hand model. There's so much skill involved. Like, you have to be able to hit the precise marks over and over and over again. And if you're a 16th of an inch off from your mark, you're out of frame. So when I was raising that phone up in that the Rakuten commercial, I had to always raise my hand up and hit in the exact same mark, or it would be out of focus.
Wow.
So people really need to know, like, are their hands steady? Because a lot of people's hands shake a little bit, but you've got to have dead steady hands and hit that mark over and over. So here's my little trick. This is what I did when I started. I got a full-length mirror. I sat in front of it, and I practiced pouring with my right hand, my left hand, picking things up with my right hand and my left hand, because you never know which hand they're going to want to use.
Ashley, thank you so much for giving us behind-the-scene look into the hand modeling world. DBL Nation, you can find out more about Ashley just by following her on Instagram at HandModelUSA. Thank you so much, Ashley. We'll be right back.
That was really interesting.
That was fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Skin cancer is the most common type of cancer in the United States, and it's also one of the most treatable when caught early. But there are some common misconceptions about skin cancer and skin tone that are putting people at risk. So let's clear them up. Claim 1. Having a darker skin tone protects you from getting skin cancer. All of our sources agree. It's a myth that people with darker skin tones are immune to developing skin cancer. People with darker skin have more melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color. And while that does provide some protection against the sun's harmful UV rays, it doesn't mean you can't get skin cancer. According to Dr. Corey Hartman, one of the most dangerous types of skin cancer, melanoma, begins in the melanocytes, which are cells that make melanin.
So when Black people, darker skinned people do get skin cancer, it tends to develop in those types of cells, and it tends to be more deadly.
So we can verify, no, having a darker skin tone does not protect you from getting skin cancer. Keck Medicine of USC says the misconception can be devastating because skin cancer in people of color is often diagnosed at later stages, when the disease may be more advanced and harder to treat. Claim 2. Skin cancer is harder to spot on darker skin tones. That's true. Medical News Today says cancerous growths are more noticeable on people with lighter skin tones because they tend to be a different color than their surrounding skin. But in individuals with darker skin tones, these growths may be the same color as their skin, making them harder to detect. And those cancerous growths might appear in unexpected places.
Darker skin has more melanin in concentrated areas, like around the nail beds, on moles on the palms and the soles. And those are areas that people don't necessarily think of to look for skin cancer.
So we can verify, yes, skin cancer is harder to spot on darker skin tones.
The American Academy of Dermatology says that people of color and people with darker skin tones should check their skin from head to toe every month for signs of skin cancer.
Look for dark spots, growths, or darker patches of skin that are growing, bleeding, or changing in any way. A sore that won't heal, or that heals and returns. Patches of skin that feel rough and dry, or a dark line underneath or around a fingernail or toenail.
And no matter what your skin color, our sources say everybody needs to wear sunscreen every single day. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
The personal care market for men is expected to grow by $80 billion over the next 5 years. Let's connect the dots. Gone are the days of 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, and body wash as men embrace the concept of self-care. It all started with the facial hair boom of 2015. According to YouGov, about 6 in every 10 men had a beard, and grooming it became a priority. Fast forward to the rise of TikTok in 2019, male influencers began sharing their tips and tricks for all things male beauty. The publication Cosmetics Business reports a 400% increase in TikTok videos surrounding male skincare. And perhaps the biggest shift recently, men are now embracing the Botox and getting fillers along their jawline. But it's not all superficial. Overall, men are becoming better educated about their own health in order to prevent future problems like skin cancer. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. With grilling season in full effect, there are some foods you can add to your menu that will help with your arthritis symptoms. So it's time for some joint and muscle support brought to you by Omega XL. First up, skip the burgers and grill Jeff's favorite salmon, fish. Instead, next try grilling broccoli, squash, and cauliflower skewers. Drop the potato salad and replace it with fresh bean salads. Ooh, Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers, supported by 30 years of clinical research. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. So call 1-800-607-7643 or visit OmegaXL.com for more information. Just Me wrote in about why they did so well, both those movies. And they said that 2 potential blockbusters opened the same weekend, allowing for the double feature phenomenon, which you discussed. But also, I suspect heat drove people into air-conditioned theaters. Smart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Smart.
Point.
Just Me, just you. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.